Welcome to ARDEX Answers podcast, where you'll find the latest and greatest on flooring, tiling and waterproofing, as well as general construction for the Australian building industry.
Welcome back to ARDEX Answers. I'm Monique Fenech from ARDEX, and joining us today on the couch is Chris Brady. Welcome, Chris.
Happy to be back again.
Chris is our Technical Services Advisor at ARDEX, and today's topic is about class ratings of waterproofing membranes. So our first question to you, Chris, is what are the class ratings for waterproofing membranes and what do they mean?
So the class ratings, they come from the Australian standards, so AS 4858, and they're a reference to how stretchy or the elongation properties of those membranes.
Okay, so what are the main differences between the classes?
You've got your Class 1, Class 2 and Class 3 systems. Your Class 1 is your least stretchy, least extendable membrane. So you've usually got between 10 and 59% elongation, so how much it can stretch. Class 2 is a medium class where you've got 60 to 299% stretch. And your Class 3 is 300% elongation or more. So say you had 10 centimetre long width of membrane, you should be able to basically stretch that out to 30 centimetres before it had any detrimental long-term effects or snapping.
Okay, so what about bond breakers and tape widths? So I know we've covered this in a previous podcast, but could you give us a quick breakdown of the two systems and how they relate to classes?
Yeah, sure. So with the classes, depending on what class system you've got, will also change the bond breaker size that you've got as well. So for a Class 1, because it's the least stretchy of them, you're looking at a 100mm bond breaker, so quite wide. For a Class 2, you've got 35mm, and for a Class 3, 12mm is your minimum. So much more reasonable. That's what you've usually got in, say, a bathroom application, wall-to-floor junction. So 12mm cove of, say, silicon that goes from the floor up to the wall. So silicons, sealants are one way of doing your bond breakers, and your other system that you can use are a transition tape system. So things such as in our ARDEX range, the ARDEX STB tape system. So as long as that also covers that width, that's also suitable.
So what would you see if you were using the wrong width with the wrong class? So what goes wrong?
Yeah, sure. So with the Class 1s, because it's less stretchy, you need that bigger bond breaker system in order to share the stretch over that area. Where you don't have something as stretchy, you need to give it a little bit more room in order to actually stretch over that area. Whereas if you got something really stretchy and you need it to move a couple of mils, you don't need something as wide in the joint there in order to still accommodate the same amount of movement.
So would it create a leak? What would it do?
Usually what you've got there is once you overstrain the membrane and the bond breaker isn't allowing for enough movement, it will either cause the membrane to overstretch and create a fracture, and then you compromise the entire waterproofing system.
So we're talking about liquid and sheet membranes for this class
Yes, the class
system.
systems are associated with both your liquids and your sheet membranes. Same class systems for both liquid or sheets. Class 3 is a Class 3 in both liquid and sheet, same with Class 1s.
Okay. So what other differences in membranes should be considered, aside from the class ratings, when checking for suitability?
So a lot of it comes down to, the materials that they're actually made of, and also some of the class ratings themselves can come into play as well. So say you are going to do an exposed rooftop membrane, and you're not planning on putting tiles, any other finishes on top of it, you want it to be hardy enough to deal with foot traffic, things like that, and also needs to be UV resistant. So the types of materials that are used in the manufacture of the membrane will allow certain membranes to be stable in UV exposed areas and capable of dealing with that foot traffic. But usually when you've got something that needs foot traffic, some wearability, you've usually got a more rigid system, so it's more closer to that Class 1, Class 2 system. Whereas Class 3s, your stretchiest of all of them, that's usually that's underneath, say like a tile system or a vinyl system, and that's adding a level of protection.
So where can installers learn this kind of thing? Is it at the academies? Do they courses here?
We cover both a liquid membrane course as well as a sheet membrane course. If you're going sheet, try and book in quick because we fill up very quick. But yeah, we cover that. But a lot of these requirements and the width requirements that are there, they're all covered in the standards, Australian standards.
And is this part of the ARDEX guarantee to match the right bond breaker to the right membrane?
Yeah, look, for each of our products, in our technical data sheets, we go through what systems can be used, including which bond breakers can be installed with those products. There might also be areas where there's not just a straight bond breaker, might be termination details, things like that. That's all on our website, on our CAD library as well.
Great. Okay, and we'll provide some of those links in this podcast. Well, thank you for joining us today, Chris.
Happy to be here.
And bye for now.